This week I'm driving the 2023 Cadillac Escalade ESV V. There's no surprise, Cadillac will be a fully electric brand in the next years. But Cadillac is saying goodbye to their gasoline engine with some beauties like this one, the Escalade V. This Escalade V is the most powerful Cadillac ever built. Under the hood of this Escalade V, we can find a hand-built LT4 V8 6.2 liter supercharged, good for 682 horsepower. 653 foot-pounds of torque. This engine is matched at 10-speed transmission. This is the most powerful engine put under the hood of a Cadillac. And just between me and you, there's been a lot of Cadillac all through the years, some monster engine and all that, but this one is the most powerful one. And we can tell it's built by the plaque on the supercharger on the top of the engine with the signature and all that. I really like those little details. This is really kind of like AMG stuff, but you know, Cadillac signature. We still have the good powertrain, the LT4. It's one of my favorite V8 supercharged. So I'm gonna go on the road and test this Escalade V. All right, I'm gonna test the acceleration with the Escalade V. This is good for 7,700 pounds on the scale. It's a full-time all-wheel drive system, so no rear-wheel drives only for the Escalade V. So let's test this V. Oh, so much fun to hear that noise. It sounds exactly just like Corvette Z06 C7. You can do the 0 to 100 kilometers in about 4.6, 0 to 60 miles an hour, 4.4, quarter mile, it's good for 12.7 seconds. It's pretty quick for this size of SUV and it's super awesome. All right, on the road with the Escalade V, it's such an amazing machine for this big SUV, especially the ESV. Ride-wise, we've got a special V-tune suspension. Just a quick reminder, the V has got a mix of magnetic ride with air suspension, but this one has been tuned for the V mode, I could say. Really comfortable on the road. It's not hard at all, even if you're in V mode to the maximum settings of hardness and all that. Still super comfortable. I was really impressed when I pushed it down the curve, especially for the extended version of this Escalade. Pretty good handling for the size of this SUV. I was really impressed. So this is really something else. They've been really working hard on that suspension tuning. This is a full-time all-wheel drive system, so there's no rear-wheel drive, so no real possibility to do some big burnouts and all that. But it makes sense, it's way easier to drive. And if you look at the TRX, the Durango Hellcat, and all these big power V8 supercharged, they're all-wheel drive, and it will be really hard to really lose the rear end or something on this Escalade because of the all-wheel drive system, the limited slip differential, and of course the actual weight of this Escalade. But also we've got some huge brake on this Escalade V. We've got 16.1 inches Brembo brake. This helps a lot to brake this big machine. It makes a big difference. Just a quick reminder, my daily driver is a GMC Yukon 2021. So basically same kind of truck, but the short version. So any suspension change, brake change and all that, I can really tell it's making a big difference, because this is my daily driver, and this is like the super version of my daily driver. So I see all the little details, all the little tune-ups who's been applied to this SUV. Of course, you know, this engine is really powerful, almost 700 horsepower. Really nervous too, even if we're in a normal mode. It's really nervous. The tuning, it's really sharp. Also, the transmission shift, it's really crisp. The exhaust is super loud, you know, in the morning when I do a cold start. It really sounds like a Corvette C7 Z06. I love that sound. It screams. It's really loud for a Cadillac Escalade. I just love it, you know. If you're not able to tell from far away, is it an Escalade or an Escalade V, just by the sound, you're gonna know it's a V. Another way you can tell it's a V is by the exterior design. The front bumper is different on this one. We've got the V bumper, I could say. All the grills on that V bumper are functional. We got also that mesh grill from the sport model, the black mesh grill, really nice grill. We've got a splitter also in the front. It makes it more sportier, more aerodynamic, I could say. Also on the side, we've got 22 inches dark chrome wheels with some V logos on it. And finally in the back, we've got a quad exhaust with the tip all in chrome black. Really nice, but kind of like undercover, you know. We've got some V logos all around, but nothing really super flashy, really big on this Escalade V. Interior wise, there's not a lot of changes for the V model. I was expecting a little bit more, you know, spatial seats and all that, or some V logos on the seat. It's not the case. It's really the normal Escalade interior you can find in the same Platinum Sport and all that. I'm not gonna go super deep in all the details, the technologies, and all the gadgets inside of this Escalade, because I drove several other Escalade on the channel. So if you want to go deeper in those models, those gadgets and all that, I drove the Sport Platinum, the Sport with the Duramax, the ESV, the short version. There's already 3 other Escalade on the channel, so check out those if you're interested to have more details about the interior of these Escalade. But for this Escalade V, there's a few little changes. We've got a V, you know, steering wheel with the V logo on it. There's a V logo next to the buttons to, you know, adjust the height of your suspension and your mode. And also we've got a button to activate the V mode. Fortunately this week, probably this model I'm driving, it's one of the first one in Canada. Maybe this one's a pre-production. You know, I'm supposed to see a graphic when I'm pressing on a V mode. It's not the case this week. It happens, you know, when we have fresh, you know, cars off the line, especially when those are not the actual production models, so that can happen. So when I'm pressing the V mode, I'm supposed to be able to adjust my steering wheel, the engine, the exhaust, the suspension, and all the gadget, the launch control and all that. You know, pretty aggressive when I put it in V mode. I guess this one's got a default setup. It's pretty awesome when I put it on V mode. The engine becomes super sharp. Also the engine and the exhaust, it's really loud, and even when we're slowing down, there's some pops and crackle, and this is pretty cool for an Escalade. So this Escalade V, it's obviously a performance machine, but it's still a truck. It's still a full-size SUV. You're able to tow with it. You can tow up to 7,000 pounds. This is pretty decent. Fuel economy wise, this week, I'm sure you're expecting the worst, you know, something like a Ram TRX or something like that. It's not the case, actually. If you drive it normally, you're able to do 15 liters per 100 kilometers. This is really decent for the size of this SUV. Always on the all-wheel drive, you know. Also this one is the extended version, so 15 liters per 100 kilometers. Sometimes I do that with my Yukon with the V8 6.2 non-supercharged. So I think for a truck with almost 700 horsepower, this is pretty decent. But the real question is, you know, it's a big SUV, it's pretty long. Do I have enough power to get on the highway? Yes, The answer is yes. One of the only option this Escalade V's got, it's the Super Cruise. Right now I'm on the highway, the Super Cruise is on. This is the Super Cruise 2.0. It's really good. I love this Super Cruise, and this is one of the only option you can put on the Escalade V, because the Escalade V comes fully equipped with the screen and everything in the back. The only options on this truck this week is the paint and the Super Cruise, basically. I love the Super Cruise. This option is like 2-3 grand. I think it's worth it. You know, something I don't like about adaptive cruise control, when you're stuck behind someone who's really slow and you don't look at it, you know, sometimes, you know, you can be stuck you know, behind someone and you have to take the wheel and accelerate and all that. With Super Cruise, you know, this kind of stuff won't happen, I could say, because this one is able to change lane without you doing anything. So if someone is going slower in front of you, it's basically just gonna change lane, and once you know, there's enough space, it's gonna change back in the right lane. This is pretty awesome. So if you do a lot of highways, a lot of road trips, certainly the Super Cruise will come handy. All right, now price wise, base price for the Escalade V, it's $177,698 Canadian. And the model I'm driving this week, it's good for $183,873. Yes, it's pretty expensive, you know, compared to a fully equipped, I say, Sport Platinum, you know, ESV is going to be around 135,000 Canadian. So it's almost 30 to 40 grand more. Is it worth it? If you're a gearhead just like me, yes it is. You know, just this engine alone, it's probably 20 to 30 grand, you know, if you would like to do like that swap of engine, I could say. The brakes, it's a good option for $5,000 at least, I could say. So just right now, just for the brakes and the engine, you know, from my point of view, it's those worth at least $35,000. There's the suspension tuning, the engine tuning, the transmission and all that, all the V stuff, also the wheels, you know, all the electronics and all that, the exhaust. So from my point of view, it's worth it. And on top of that, this Escalade V is going to be super limited. So you know, money wise, investment wise, I could say, I don't think this Escalade is going to lose a lot of money over the years. It's really one of the last, you know, big power, big SUV, gasoline SUV. So it's really the way Cadillac can say goodbye to their gasoline heritage, I could say, with this beautiful Escalade V with that big power and all that. So I'm pretty sure, you know, there's tons and tons of customers are really to pay this price, and there was already a customer base for these type of SUVs. When I just think about guys like NSC in Texas, you know, they were already putting superchargers in an Escalade for almost 15-20 years now. So, you know, there was always that customer base ready to spend that extra money to get that supercharged Cadillac. So now you've got that limited run, cool LT4 engine from GM. You got that warranty and all that, and the power. So let me know in the comments, what do you think about the Escalade V? Is it worth it? Which SUV this Escalade V ESV can compete against, especially the ESV? It's so big, so long, you know, cargo wise, passenger wise, it's way bigger than the Mercedes-Benz, the BMWs and all that. I think it's a pretty unique truck. I love it. You know, if I was a millionaire, you know, I would definitely buy this truck. You know, this is like the upgrade from my Yukon, from my point of view. More power, more exhaust note, more luxury and all that. So, you know, for carrying all my kids but still having fun, I would definitely buy this Escalade V. So don't forget to subscribe, like, and share, and we're gonna see each other on the next review.